That has got to change. Because we've already learned our lesson, haven't we? I hope, in this sense, I know in every profession there can be the sense of circling the wagons, and we can be subject to insularity. I turned to a dear friend who is my physician, and I once said to him, how comfortable are physicians reporting on other physicians for what they see as poor practice? And this dear friend of mine, who is an exemplar of medicine, said, it is very difficult. It's true in all. And how do you break that? By having eyes and ears that are outside, and also a statement that says, we welcome the admission of fault. And have you noticed in the medical profession, some doctors and hospitals now are coming forward to first say, we will not deny, we will not cover up, we will in fact admit and deal with it. Yeah. So number one is attending to the incredible gifts that are within us, but also making sure that those gifts are evident at the diocesan and the curial level of our church. Second, do we have riches that in fact secure Catholic identity for now and the future? We do. And a brief story in my own life might be helpful here. Anthony was about to take my keys to the car. Do you recall that day when the keys to the kingdom were transferred to the young? And mine was a new sports car. Lovely vehicle. Because I was a teacher, I was in the habit of doing extended discourse before he left. If you think you were bad as a parent, imagine having two parents who were both teachers. And in theology. All right? Susie, being the wise parents, once said, cut it out. Don't you see his eyes rolling back in his head? Tell him tonight he's a Mastriani, he's a Collamati, he's Italian, he's Catholic. The last is most important. Have a good time. She said, try it. So I went. Anthony said, yeah, Dad, as the engine was running. And I said to him, you're a Mastriani, you're a Collamati, you're Italian, you're a Catholic, that's the most important, have a good time. Ladies and gentlemen, have you seen deer on a highway at night? That was the look I had from my son, and he said, that's it? I said, that's it. So I continued to do this over the next several excursions, and then Susie said, I think he got it, shorten it. I said, what do you mean? She said, just give him the initials. She said, just say MCIC, have a good time. So I did, and the first time, I said, what? I said, Mastriani Cola? Oh, yeah. Fast forward. I went to a teacher conference at Bishop Fian High School with his English teacher. And after the usual pleasantries, his English comp teacher said, I want to ask you a question. I said, what is it? He said to me, I assigned my students an essay on the most significant wisdom they've ever gotten from their parents. Ernie, can you tell me about MCIC? And while we laughed, I later was so deeply touched that he let me know, because little do we know at times the seeds we plant in our young. But more importantly, the theological idea hit me. Isn't part of our shaping and our experience that's so critical in our life is the offering of an identity in terms of the treasures that we have? and the willingness to remind individuals of who they are. Because the gifted author John Shea of Chicago once said he realized in his life he was more prone to sin when he forgot who he was. We have treasures in the Catholic tradition that if in fact we are utilizing them well, can ensure a robust future. What do I point to? I said to you, keep in mind the exterior face of the church. Why? Because if there's any denomination in Christianity that should profoundly appreciate what we are like to others as well as to ourselves, it is the Catholic tradition that has a core experience of sacrament. Do any of you recall a catechetical tool widely used in the United States called the Baltimore Catechism? Yes? Okay. For those of you not familiar with it, you are going to be amazed because there's going to be a momentary Rorschach experience right now with those who said they remember. You recall the question and answer. I'm going to toss out a word to you. See if you can respond immediately with what comes to mind. Sacrament. If you don't know what I'm saying right now, I'm miming the word wow. That's remarkable, isn't it? An outward sign instituted by Christ to give grace, which was rooted in some of the early definitions given to us by such luminaries like St. Augustine, who in Latin spoke about the forma invisibilis, the visible form of the invisible grace, because sacraments are signs. Well, it's very clear in light of Vatican II. The prime sacrament is Jesus Christ, because he is the incarnate one, enfleshed one, through whom we experience God. And if Jesus is the prime sacrament, then the church is the sacrament of Christ. And then we who constitute the body of Christ are called to be effective signs sacramentally to the church and to the world. How does that relate to the crisis? We cannot simply say, we will challenge the world outside the church to goodness and grace, and not also address problems within the church that eat at our sacramentality. Because wherever sacramental nature of reality is undermined, the church undermines itself. And sacramentality is very attractive, by the way, because what I fear happening down the road is